Hey Penny, you ready to do some art?
Yeah.
All right. Hey everybody, I'm Mr. Tyler. Got my daughter Penny with me here, and we are really excited to do some art this week. Hopefully you've done your videos on your PowerPoint and your worksheet, which Penny was just finishing up right here. So who is our artist this week? You know her name? Georgia.
Georgia OKeeffe.
Georgia OKeeffe. There she is. Her last name is spelled with 3 E's and 2 F's. That's incredible. I'm willing to bet not many of us have that many E's or F's in our name.
Maybe not.
We don't. Anyway, so we're learning about Georgia OKeeffe. She was an American artist who did watercolors and she loved landscapes, deserts. She drew a lot of really close-up pictures of really beautiful flowers and sometimes like old desert bones too.
My name has 3 E's.
Your name has 3 E's,
Well,
just like
Penelope does.
Penelope has 3 E's, just like O'Keeffe.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Okay. So some of us do have that many E's in our name. So Georgia O'Keeffe, she did desert landscapes, desert bones. We're going to practice today 2 techniques. One called scaling, and so she would take a flower that's usually pretty small but make it really big. So we're going to practice doing that, scaling up, kind of magnifying a picture of a flower. We're also learning a lot this week about tinting and shading, and I'll be honest, I didn't know that those 2 things were different. So
Yeah.
Penny, I want to know, what is the difference between a tint and a shade?
Shades make things darker and tints make things lighter.
Okay, so the same color maybe, but if you were going to tint the color blue, you would make it lighter, but if you were going to shade the color blue, you'd make it darker? That's awesome. Can I show them this side of it? So this is your worksheet that you've already done, and Penny was practicing making a tint of this pink flower and a shade of this dark purple. Now, I can think of, at least with colored pencils, there's 2 different ways that I can think of to tint or shade.
One way
What would be one way?
is to color harder or lighter with one color, and another way is to go over it with black or go over it with white.
Okay. So one way is with the same color, you just lightly press it, and that would be a tint. But if you keep pressing it and make it darker and darker, or what Penny did here, and I think you did in your worksheet, is she colored it, and then she went over it lightly with some white colored pencil, and over here very lightly with some dark colored pencil, and made a shade. So we're going to practice doing that with our flowers today. So before I look at our worksheet, I just thought, just for fun, you don't have to do this, but you could do this sometime. I just found a nice plant, and I have a flashlight here, just so I can envision what we're doing here. We're making shades of a plant, and kind of we're imagining a light on it. So when I put this light on it, and I just kind of go over it, I can see the different shadows. And these were some nice leaves. I'm looking at the leaves themselves because they're really twisted. And so the leaves themselves, part of the leaf is in shadow, and part of it is really bright, right?
And there's some shadows on the wall.
Yeah, here, you practice. So I'm seeing part of the leaf is dark and part of the leaf is light because of the way the light hits. Oh, let's not shine our friends. But, so anyway, you could practice that. That's just for some inspiration. So I'm going to put my plant over here. That looks really nice. So that's kind of what we're doing today. We're making different shades. So part of our leaf is going to be darker and part of it's going to be lighter because of maybe where the sun is hitting it in our imagination. So what I want you to do is find this piece of paper. There's a nice picture of some flowers, the kind that Georgia O'Keeffe would paint. And then there's this little stencil that we need to cut out if you haven't already.
And
so
it says cut out here.
grab some scissors and cut the whole frame out first. So this big square, cut the frame out. So this is a nifty trick for scaling. You could take a picture of something and then scale it and magnify it and then color just that one part of it. So now I have this square, but in here it says cut out, but I don't want to cut through my frame. I want it to stay intact.
So we should fold it.
So you should fold it, make a little slit, right? Then I can get my scissor in there and cut just to the edge and then make a frame. So
I think I know what we're gonna do with these.
yeah. So keep this paper, this picture, and keep your frame, and so it should look like this.
And we should do this.
Yeah. So let's hold off on that. So any trash, put it to the side. So what you're gonna need for this art project is some tape, your square, nice piece of paper, and some colored pencils, some bright colored pencils. You probably also want some dark ones, like a black one, and maybe some white as well. And that's it. Now, in the instructions, you might see that it talks about watercolors. There is an option if you have what's called watercolor pencils, you can use those, and then at the end, brush it with some water, and it'll kind of blend it all together really nicely. Or if you want to try this again at another time with watercolor paints, that would be a fun activity to do as well. Penny and I just have regular colored pencils, and so we're going to practice shading with just colored pencils here. So what I would encourage you to do is start with a regular pencil. So you can draw really lightly and erase if you need to. I'm going to draw with a dark black colored pencil just so that you in the video can see what I'm doing. But I want you to use pencil first and then later do that. So before you color anything, here's where we're going to start. Get your frame and get your template. These are all the different colors, and what you can do is kind of just go all the way around any direction you choose and find a spot on this photo here that you want to put onto your square. And so it could be the stem. I would recommend picking one of the flowers, but you can do it any direction you choose. Ooh, that would be kind of fun.
How about this?
I like that. So once you choose where you want, take a couple pieces of tape and tape your frame down onto your page so that it's not going to move on you. So here, Penny, tape that wherever you want. So you see I did that here. I'm going to do that flower up in the corner there. Penny picked a different part.
I think I'll do that.
Ooh, I like that.
There.
Yeah. So tape the edge of your frame. Nice. Okay. So now, so look at the picture here. Even in the picture, it's all just in black ink, but you can see where they tried to shade part of it for us, right? Because some of it has extra lines, like there's a shadow there. I'm looking in the middle of my flower, and there's extra lines here. So what we want to do is with our pencils, draw just the outline. And then with our colored pencils, we're going to do all the shading. So we're not going to try to draw every single line here. But here's the tricky part. And here's the trick on how to scale big. So I want what's in my square here to fill up this entire page here, like a big magnifying glass. So we practiced this in this week's worksheet, but you're looking at these lines and try to line them up kind of, you could even draw a couple dots of where the flowers meet the edge of your little square here, and then try to recreate that on this big scale. Does that make sense? Do you have any questions, Penny?
No.
So you're going to try to draw this to the same scale. So if your flower takes up most of your little square, it should take up most of your big square, but you're going to try to make it bigger. It's going to be a little tricky. But draw lightly with pencil. You can always erase if you want, and it doesn't have to be perfect at all, because this is art. So let's see. Yeah. So take some time with your pencil and try to draw it as much to scale as you can. And really just the outlines again of your, just the outline here. We're not all the different lines, all the shading that's in this. We're going to do that with colored pencils. So just with your regular pencil, draw it. And I just kind of keep looking back at my page, try to draw it as close as possible, but not worrying about it being absolutely perfect.
Actually, I don't think that's right.
Oh, you felt like you needed to make it a little bigger?
I don't think that's right.
Okay. Oh yeah, I think you're right. Great job, Penny. So friends, you keep doing this and you can always pause your video and work on this for a little while. I'm going to show you mine really quick. So that you can see where my frame is. I chose that part of the flower. And here's what I did. It's kind of close. I didn't do it perfectly. You can see, I want to show you all the little tiny lines here and here. I did not put on this because I'm going to shade it in with the colored pencils, but I put just a few of those lines here so I could see the bowl of the flower, because you can see it's kind of like going into the whole flower there.
Can I see?
But I didn't put all the lines. I just put a few so that I could tell where it was. See, I just put a few of my lines there instead of all of them. Oh, nice. That's good, Penny. Okay, so are we ready? Yeah, that's good. You'll see Penny's a little easier later. So you use pencil, which is what you should do. So it's harder to see because I used the black one. But that's perfect because now as you color it in, it's going to be easier to shade, and then you can go back through later. At the very end, we'll go back with a black crayon or pencil and shade in the outline even better. So now we have to decide what colors to choose for our flowers.
I think mine look like they should be pink flowers.
Pink flowers, very good. So usually with these kind of flowers, the petals that are opening up are going to be much lighter than the bowl at the end. So you might really tint the petals coming out because that's where all the light's going to hit. And then down here, the bottom of my bowl that's going down into the leaves is where I'm going to really shade that in, tint and shade, right? And so you want to pick, you can do many different colors. Some of these flowers have stripes of pink and gold in them. So Georgia O'Keeffe loved all these really great colors. So let's pick a few. I'm going to try to do some purple and probably some yellow, and then make sure you have like a nice green, maybe a couple colors of green for your stem.
Even though it doesn't show that in the picture, I'm gonna make it be like it's in the inside of the
Oh,
flower.
that's good. Yeah, so you're making the inside of a flower there. That's very good. Okay. So when I look back at this, where I do see some of the lines, the dark lines, that's where I'm going to make sure I do my shading the most. So now just go through, and here's the trick. Instead of coloring any direction, whenever you color, especially for this kind of art, keep your pencil going the same direction as the line, as the nearest line. So for the leaves, for example, I'm going to stay on the direction of the line, like this, instead of just coloring any direction. That'll help the shading kind of show out a little more. Does that make sense? Yeah, so that's what Penny's doing there. So when I'm going down into the bowl of my flower, I'm going to keep my pencil going the same direction each time. So it's kind of falling into the bowl. If you want, you can practice with those different styles of shading. You can go in with a little white, make it a little lighter. If you use the black to shade, go very lightly because the black can overpower your colors really quickly. But maybe just a few lines of dark if you want it. If you want maybe your leaves to be extra shaded in. I'm going to show you really quick. So when I'm going to shade like my leaves, I start with dark, same motion the whole time, but I keep going lighter and lighter and lighter as I go toward the center. So it starts to look like maybe there's a shadow falling across my page.
I think the flower would be like almost white in the middle.
Oh yeah, you can leave some good, that's a good point, leave some areas of white even in your flower is a good idea. Maybe go through with a couple different colors. So I think going down into the bowl of my flower, I want the going in there would be really dark, but then coming out would be light. So I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to be dark down here, but I'm going to start, the one line is going to go from dark to light, kind of out and in.
I'm going to show them my flower.
Okay.
This is mine.
Okay, good. All right. Let's see. I'm almost done with mine. I'm gonna kind of lighten up right around the edges of my petals, I think, and then I think I'm about done.
Here's the pink.
So you can keep going over it, kind of shade it in. Imagine again a shadow falling across the page, so it's going to go from dark to light, dark to light. And then at the very end, go back with your black and make a nice clear outline of all of your shapes so that they kind of pop out of the page a little bit.
Okay. Yours already having black on them?
They did, but they got a little smeared. And just for fun,
What? Huh? What's that? Oh, a ladybug.
well, everyone, hope you're having fun. So you see, I want to show you a couple things. One, just for fun, I added a ladybug on my flower. You can do that as well. But for the flower, the edges, I colored in a little darker, and then I went very lightly. But I kept my pencil going the same direction the whole time. So I was dark, 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 and then light, 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 light. Dark, 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 light, 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 into the middle. And when I was going down here, I was darker down here in the bowl, but then getting lighter as I go out, 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 out. So keep working on that. Again, I left some nice white space to show the shadow coming across the page, and hope yours is turning out really nicely. You want to show them yours really quick? Very nice. All right, well, I hope you're doing well. Share that with your class, and oh, where'd you go?
Right here.
All right, well, let's say goodbye to our friends Penny. Hope you're having a great time, and hope you're having a great new year. This is a great practice. Go do this again if you have some watercolor paints, or any other kind of art.
Pencils.
Watercolor pencils would be great too. Go outside and maybe pick your own scene and do some more art this week. So I hope you're having a great day, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.